Hello, and thank you for joining us today to discover Michigan, your gateway to North America. My name is Drew Coleman, and I'm the Director of Foreign Direct Investment at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Today, we will share with you a special message from Michigan's Governor, Gretchen Whitmer. We'll also share an overview of what makes Michigan an ideal location for businesses looking to enter and be successful in North America, especially in the automotive industry, engineering, and advanced mobility and manufacturing. And you'll hear firsthand from a company that's chosen to invest in Michigan, along with partners from Michigan's robust network of accountants, international bankers, attorneys, and utilities, answering your questions on how to navigate the complex process of establishing a facility in the U.S. and how these Michigan-based firms can support you in this process. We will do our best to answer all of your questions with our panel of experts, but if we are unable to answer your question during our session, we will follow up directly with you. We've received a number of questions during registration, but also feel free to add questions in the chat. And at the end of our program, we hope that you can stick around to view a short video highlighting Michigan and how the MEDC can support your business. This webinar is possible through our partnership with our friends at U.S. Commercial Service and the SelectUSA program. Before we move into the program, I'd like to welcome Bill Burwell, Deputy Executive Director at SelectUSA, to formally kick off this event. Bill, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Drew, and I'm very pleased to be here today to welcome all of you to the SelectUSA virtual tour of Michigan, featuring opportunities in the automotive, mobility, engineering, and advanced manufacturing sectors. As Drew mentioned, this virtual tour of Michigan is part of the SelectUSA virtual tour series and is organized in close collaboration with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. My name is Bill Burwell, and I'm the Acting Executive Director and Deputy Executive Director of SelectUSA. And I'm pleased to be here this morning to welcome you, and I look forward to the great presentation by all of our partners in Michigan. SelectUSA is the government-wide initiative dedicated to facilitating and promoting high-impact business investment into the United States. Since inception, SelectUSA has helped facilitate over $81 billion in client-verified deals, supporting over 100,000 U.S. jobs. And last year alone, SelectUSA helped facilitate $17 billion in client-verified deals, supporting over 14,000 U.S. jobs. Foreign direct investment makes a huge difference in all of our local communities. In Michigan, for example, according to the latest annual data, 313,000 U.S. jobs are directly supported by majority-owned foreign firms. Hopefully, you're all familiar with SelectUSA and what our team can do to support your business investment in the United States. For those who may be less familiar, we're here to assist you in finding your next investment location. SelectUSA works one-on-one with companies, and our team has a proven track record of successfully connecting international firms with partners and resources to help them achieve their investment goals for the United States. Our services include information and counseling, FDI facilitation events, and assistance navigating the federal regulatory system. SelectUSA also works closely with economic development organizations, and through SelectUSA virtual tours, we're able to offer business investors like yourselves an overview of existing opportunities in different sectors and locations all across the United States. And until we're able to gather again in person, SelectUSA will continue to partner with economic development organizations to offer virtual tours of selected locations across the U.S. You'll see some of these upcoming events and locations listed on our website at selectusa.gov. I'd like to strongly encourage you to join these virtual tours and take full advantage of the opportunity to register to participate in the 2021 SelectUSA Investment Summit. While virtual for the first time, the Investment Summit will maintain its core principles of the annual event and will incorporate similar themes and fundamental concepts that has made this event a must-attend event. The Investment Summit will feature 100+ virtual sessions, a virtual exhibit hall with economic development organizations and service providers, and a robust networking platform where participants can make the connections they need to push their investments forward. To learn more, you can visit our website at selectusaSummit.us or email us at susaevents@trade.gov. If you would like to RSVP for upcoming investment programs, please visit our website at selectusa.gov and subscribe to our mailing list to receive updates. As an added benefit, I'd like to invite each of you to register and schedule one-on-one virtual meetings with the members of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. To register for this free event, please visit selectusa.gov and go to our upcoming events page to reserve your space. Meetings will take place all day on Thursday, February 25th, 2021. SelectUSA and our colleagues located in the U.S. Commercial Service in Michigan are here to help your company with any questions that you may have. I'd like to thank the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and all of our speakers today for this great event. And most importantly, I would like to welcome you all at the 2021 Summit. Hope to see you there online, and thank you, Drew, and everybody for the opportunity to speak today.
Bill, thank you for your partnership. Now, a special welcome from the 49th Governor of Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Governor Whitmer is a lifelong Michigander. She's a lawyer, an educator, former prosecutor, state representative, and senator. But the most important title that she boasts is mom. Inspired by her family, she's devoted her life to building a stronger Michigan for everyone.
I'm excited to welcome you all to today's virtual event, highlighting why Michigan is a premier location for foreign direct investment. Investing in Michigan means investing in pure opportunity, where businesses can thrive in a globally connected location and access the talent and supply chain needed to grow and expand. Over the past decade, Michigan's business-friendly environment has created sustained economic growth, which we continue to maintain despite the unprecedented pandemic we've all faced over this past year. Located within 800 kilometers of nearly half the U.S. and Canadian commerce and population centers, Michigan provides unparalleled access to the global market. Between our 18 commercial airports, including Detroit Metropolitan, one of the largest U.S. air hubs in North America, as well as our 3,600 miles of freight railroad tracks across Michigan, we're equipped with the infrastructure necessary to help companies do business globally right here in our state. And to that, the fact that Michigan is known as the Great Lakes state and is host to 33 active deep water ports surrounding Michigan, and there are endless opportunities for conducting business globally from right here in the state. In Michigan, we are proud to be home to more than 1,400 foreign companies with more than 5,000 locations across the state, demonstrating we truly are the ultimate gateway for businesses from around the world to grow. From having the highest concentration of engineers in the nation to a skilled trades workforce that ranks in the top 10 nationally, here in Michigan, we are preparing the talent needed for the jobs not only for today, but well into the future. Throughout today's session, you'll learn from Michigan's experts at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation about how your business can find its home here in our state too. For more than 2 decades, MEDC has helped transform Michigan's economy by strengthening international relationships, connecting business leaders, building community, and much more. They stand ready to help you grow here in Michigan as well, with services and teams that can help make introductions within the business ecosystem and help you expand into new markets, all from right here in Michigan. I hope you find today's event to be helpful and encourage you to reach out to the MEDC with any questions about how your business can access pure opportunity here in Michigan.
Again, thank you for joining us. Let's begin. The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is the lead advocate for business development, job awareness, and community development in the state of Michigan. Our goal is to assist you in connecting with the resources you require to be successful. Your success is our success. Michigan is the 10th largest state in the country with over 10 million residents, located within 800 kilometers and nearly half of the US and Canadian populations and commerce centers. Michigan is home to robust transportation infrastructure, including 33 deep water ports, 3 global crossings, and several international airports with direct flights to Europe and Asia daily. In addition to Michigan's location advantage, Michigan leads the nation in engineering talent, automotive R&D spending, and advanced manufacturing. 98 of the top 100 global automotive suppliers call Michigan home. Nearly 20% of all US vehicle production happens in Michigan. And we have a booming tech workforce and industry. All of these assets, combined with our low cost of living, make Michigan the epicenter for the future of transportation mobility. Michigan's focus industries include advanced manufacturing, mobility, engineering, professional services, medical devices, and technology. As well, we are a leader in agribusiness, tourism, logistics, financial services, and other manufacturing. Overall, Michigan's advantage is built upon these pillars. Michigan's automotive dominance is built upon our depth of businesses that call Michigan home. 20+ OEMs, over 2,200 global suppliers, and a growing EV ecosystem matching the future of the industry. Second, Michigan has developed a robust innovation ecosystem. 72% of U.S. automotive R&D happens here. And recently, the Automotive Office of Future Mobility and Electrification was launched by Governor Whitmer to help maintain Michigan's leadership position well into the future. Third, Michigan's 500 miles of connected roadway, in addition to our numerous autonomous vehicle testing facilities, allow for development, testing, and validation not available anywhere else in the country. And last, Michigan has world-class talent with the skills required to design, engineer, develop, and build the vehicles and technologies of tomorrow. Michigan is ranked #1 in the U.S. for engineering talent. This expansive ecosystem has positioned Michigan as a top global destination for foreign direct investment. Nearly 1,500 foreign companies have located here, and Michigan has attracted $11.8 billion in FDI since 2016. Michigan has accomplished this through a proactive strategy that includes dedicated individuals in market focused on building relationships and supporting businesses as they look to enter the U.S. market. Michigan's global team is focused on Canada, Europe, Israel, India, China, Taiwan, and Japan. In addition to the MEDC team, we rely on a robust partner network to facilitate connections and further our reach across the globe. In addition to our partners at the U.S. Commercial Service and our numerous U.S. embassies abroad, we've listed a selection of our European partners here. And as we shift to our greater Asia market, we have developed lasting partnerships with key groups in China, Taiwan, Japan, and Korea. One way in which we have built global partnerships is through sister state relationships and memorandums of understanding. Listed here is Shiga Prefecture. It's Michigan's sister prefecture in Japan. This relationship was established in 1968, and we continue to have an active partnership, including a visiting official who's located at our offices in Lansing. And our partnerships continue with our other proactive markets, including Israel, Canada, and India. Michigan sees each of these markets as important to our long-term strategy of maintaining our leadership position in mobility, engineering, and advanced manufacturing. To quickly highlight some of the nearly 1,500 global companies that call Michigan home, these next 3 slides show the global business ecosystem located in Michigan, which you can access by choosing to locate in Michigan. Companies like KUKA, Bosch, Valeo, Forcia, Morelli, and more. Denso, NHK, Fanuc, Toyota, Yazaki, Hirotech, and over 500 other Japanese companies call Michigan home. And a host of Chinese companies such as Yanfeng, Fuyao, SAIC, Kingfa, and others have chosen Michigan as their gateway to North America. This is only a sampling of the nearly 1,500 global companies with locations across Michigan. Now, let's dig into why all these companies have chosen Michigan. The reason is clear. Michigan is the leader in mobility and automotive manufacturing. Nearly 1/5 of U.S. auto production happens in Michigan. Over the past decade, 26% of all automotive investments in North America took place in Michigan, over $41 billion. We've mentioned our leadership in R&D spending and the impressive FDI taking place in Michigan. All these factors make Michigan the mobility leader in North America. To visualize this ecosystem, this slide highlights some of the key OEMs, suppliers, and new mobility companies that call Michigan home. These companies range from traditional vehicle assemblers to established and emerging tech companies that are changing the landscape of the industry. All of these companies collaborate in Michigan's mobility ecosystem. And over the past decade, Michigan has attracted 41% of all U.S. investment in this industry. Michigan has seen numerous key investments in the electric vehicle supply chain, some of which are highlighted here from GM, Ford, and Akasol. Michigan's FDI attraction mirrors the overall investment we see in the state. Automotive components, automotive OEMs, chemicals, industrial equipment, and electronic components are all key to the overall supply chain in Michigan. As mentioned, Michigan launched the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification to sustain and secure Michigan's position as the leader in the mobility ecosystem in North America. The office's vision is a stronger state economy through safer, more equitable, and environmentally conscious transportation for all Michigan residents. Our focus is on growing the industry through startups, smart infrastructure, EV adoptions, workforce, and manufacturing. The office is focused on technology activation and policy development. This dual approach creates a sustainable ecosystem for future mobility companies. Michigan has launched numerous grant programs, pilots, training programs to target mobility challenges across the state. We're also evaluating existing and establishing new policies to ensure that Michigan is prepared for the technologies of the future. These policies are developed in partnership with industry, academia, and government. And of course, all of this work is key to Michigan's future, as we're poised to produce approximately 55% of the Detroit 3's North American EVs over the next 7 years. As shown here, Michigan is the epicenter of EV production in North America, and Michigan is home to 4 of the 9 major battery producers in the market. This EV supply chain is key and is found only here in Michigan. As mentioned, Michigan maintains the world's most diverse collection of autonomous vehicle testing environments for technologies in all phases of development. And at the foundation of this immense industry are the people that you need to be successful. These future employees are being developed at some of the world's best research institutions right here in the Midwest. Southeast Michigan is the largest Midwest university R&D hub with $2.3 billion in annual R&D spend. Michigan's universities are developing talent of the future that work alongside the 250,000 skilled trades workers in the state. Michigan is #1 for engineering in the country and second in the U.S. for growth in technology-related jobs over the past decade. We're proud of our talented, diverse, and abundant workforce. We have the people you need to be successful in the U.S. And I'm certain the previous slides have shown Michigan's strength in mobility, engineering, and manufacturing, and I hope that you can see a future for your business here in Michigan. My team is prepared to assist you in finding success in Michigan. We can assist throughout the site selection process, including confidential site searches, greenfield and brownfield analysis, connection to local utilities, community leaders, and completion of all aspects of information requests. We can connect you to talent through our Michigan Works network, making connections to all aspects of your supply chain through our Pure Michigan Business Connect program, connecting you to manufacturing resources through the Michigan Manufacturing Technology Center, and connect you directly to experts in legal, accounting, taxation, benefit plan professionals, and other partners locally, some who you will hear from shortly. And once you've found the ideal location, Michigan has a wide variety of programs and resources to support your investment, from tax abatements for qualifying investments, cash grants to assist with talent development, or to mitigate overall project costs. The MEDC can connect you to the appropriate resources to ensure a long-term, successful investment in Michigan. All of this is built upon business-friendly policies, low taxes, and a diverse business community that creates an ecosystem where you can find success. And before we transition to our other speakers, I think it's important to mention that Michigan is a great place to live. Michigan's cost of living is below the national average and ranks as the 4th most affordable state in the country. Michigan cities include Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Traverse City, and our incredible Upper Peninsula are all known as great places to live, work, and play. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you'd like to further explore how Michigan can be your gateway to success in North America. And now I want to introduce VLATKO TOMI쪼-BOBAS. VLATKO is Michigan's Investment Promotion Director for Europe and will moderate our upcoming panel. VLATKO, the screen is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Drew. It's real fantastic to be here today, and it's a pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Roy Scholde is the president of AKASOL North America. He has an extensive background in engineering, both in Germany and in the United States. He holds an electrical engineering degree from MTU, an engineering management degree from the University of Michigan, and most importantly, an executive MBA from Michigan State University. Roy, it's a pleasure to be here. We're glad you're part of this presentation today. Roy's a great friend and a great advocate for the state of Michigan. And with that, Roy, the screen is yours.
Okay, good morning, everyone. VLATKO, thank you for that introduction. So as VLATKO mentioned, My name is Roy Schulde. I'm the president of AKASOL Inc. And I appreciate the opportunity to share our story of expansion into USA and Michigan, specifically the Metro Detroit area. So AKASOL is the E in mobility, and that is in the case of electrifying commercial vehicles. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, so the agenda for my presentation, I would like to give you a brief intro to AKASOL. I'd like to explain why AKASOL is a leading provider of battery systems, and then give you an overview of our USA site selection process. Okay, who is AKASOL? We are a leading German developer and manufacturer of high performance and high energy battery systems. With over 30 years of experience, we're a leader in battery technology and have industry-leading hardware, software, and thermal management. We have strong relationships with global leading blue chip customers, as well as world-class battery cell providers. We have a clear focus on attractive end markets with strong growth perspectives. And we have state-of-the-art production facilities both in Europe and now in USA. Next slide. So here are some of the key milestones over that 30-year of industry experience. So AKASOL actually started at the Technical University in Darmstadt, Germany. It was a student club nonprofit that was initially focused on solar race car world championship competitions. So the student club was quite successful. They won 3 of those championships back to back. And over the years, they eventually determined that it would be possibly more fun to actually earn money. So as of 2008, 3 of those former students, along with an angel investor, who is our current CEO, Sven Schulz, they created AKASOL GmbH. That is a limited liability company, as known in the States. So moving on to 2015, this was the time where AKASOL won serial contracts with 2 major bus manufacturers. That then proceeded to the opening of our first series production facility in Langen, Germany, which is located about 10 miles from Frankfurt Airport. And then in 2018, the company then transferred into the next phase. It actually became a public company known as AKASOL AG and had a successful IPO at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. So the 100 million euro gross proceeds went towards further growth, both expansion in its existing facilities in Germany, as well as our new facility in USA. Moving forward, you can see in 2020, last year, going back, yep. So in 2020, we moved into our new corporate headquarters in Darmstadt, as well as initiating the launch of our new Gigafactory 1. Also in 2020, we opened our new series production facility in USA, specifically Hazel Park, Michigan. So it was quite impressive to accomplish these feats in the midst of the COVID crisis. Next slide. So I'd like to give you an overview of the current global footprint. I'll start on the right-hand side in Germany. As I mentioned, Darmstadt is our corporate headquarters. It's the location of our Gigafactory 1 and service center. Production capacity numbers looking to 2021 this year will be up to 1 gigawatts. And then in 2022, that will climb to 2.5 gigawatts. The next facility I mentioned, Langen, is a series production facility, and that has a capacity of 800 megawatt hours per year. And then the final facility is called Weiterstadt, and that is a smaller facility dedicated to prototypes, samples, and our mobile charging systems. Moving over to the left-hand side, you can see North America. This location in Hazel Park, Michigan is our first series production facility. It represents our Gigafactory 2 as well as our service center. And then you can see the production capacity. In 2021, we have installed capacity of 400 megawatt hours. And then in 2022, we'll be up to 1.4 gigawatt hours. In South America, we currently have a sales office where we're in advanced discussions on the potential to set up another manufacturing facility. Next slide. Okay, next slide. So what I'd like to do is just give you an overview of the clear trend that is e-mobility. This is the addressable market opportunity for AKASOL, both in the EU and US. And this is specifically looking to the bus and truck markets, whether it be an electric, plug-in hybrid, or fuel cell powertrain. So here you can see the number of vehicles climbing throughout the years, as well as the estimated market share that AKASOL will have in those two markets. Next slide. So the areas of expertise for AKASOL in commercial vehicles can be split up into what we call on-highway and off-highway. On-highway deals with buses and commercial vehicles, where off-highway deals with rail vehicles, industrial vehicles, marine, as well as charging solutions. So we have a very comprehensive product portfolio. The important factor is that there is no one-size-fits-all battery. So depending on the customer application, we can provide the system to meet those requirements. So AKASOL has electrified more than 2,500 commercial vehicles, and an interesting fact that this is more than the combined total of Tesla, Nikola, Hyzon, and Proterra. Next slide. So I won't dive too deep into the technology, but I wanted to mention what AKASOL is focused on. So the one thing that AKASOL does not do is manufacture the battery cells. So those are purchased from some of our well-known suppliers, you can see on the lower left. And our focus is on the next two levels of an overall battery system. First, the module level, where those battery cells are integrated, along with a cell management system, and then into the overall system or pack level, where thermal management is included, as well as a battery management system. Next slide. So at AKASOL, we have the highest flexibility in battery technology. We are known as cell agnostic. So depending on the customer application, we can provide systems with pouch cells, prismatic cells, and cylindrical cells. And the benefits this provides our customers is that you're dealing with one supplier, one battery system architecture, and we have the capability of utilizing different cell types as well as different cell suppliers. Next slide. So the competitive advantage that we have at AKASOL deals with our technology roadmap. So there's two critical factors affecting the adoption rate of electric vehicles. That deals with the energy density, or the number of kilowatt hours per pack, and the cost per kilowatt hour. So here you can see that since 2016, there's been over 170% increase in that energy density. Next slide. Okay, I'd like to go over the USA site selection process. So this is a complete overview of all of the milestones. So I joined the company in October of 2018, and we immediately started that site selection process. So we had a comprehensive tender that went out to over 300 counties across the USA. And in November, we held what we called a beauty contest. So we had selected 21 states and 36 counties. And at the end of those meetings, we determined which locations to concentrate on for our site visits. So that proceeded on then the beginning of 2019 into the site visits. So 10 states, 13 counties were visited. At the end of that visit, we reduced the list to what we considered our final four. So in the second site visits, we focused on quality of life factors, as well as workforce development. And we had meetings set up with local HR representatives, as well as some of the educational institutions. So from those meetings, we went on to complete our final four due diligence and review the incentive package comparisons. And then in the middle of the year, we finalized the negotiations, initiated the contracts, and initiated the incentive applications. So after that step was completed, then we selected our final location and building. We decided on a lease and then we initiated the build out or renovations. So the next step involves some of the HR aspects. So we initiated the hiring process, the management team, as well as assembly line workers, and created our training plans. The next step dealt with training, actually sending some of our US personnel over to Germany, as well as initiate the visas necessary to have our German colleagues come to the United States. So it was unknown at the time that we would deal with the COVID process. So, some of the visa work was done and moved. The next step was with the actual building. Sorry, go back. Where we finalized the renovations. We had a build out of the office space, build out of the production and warehouse areas. And then we received our equipment from Germany, set up the initial test runs, and started production late last year. So at the end of 2020, we had our initial SOP, and we're successful in delivering our first battery systems to our customer. Next slide. So this is an overview of our Hazel Park facility. In the upper right corner, you can see an aerial view. We are located conveniently at the cross sections of I-75 and 696. Some of the key metrics, the facility is 55,000 square feet. It was built in 2017, where Akasol is the initial tenant. And then you can see some of the infrastructure factors where we're conveniently located close to the Detroit airport. Next slide. This again is another overview of the facility. On the right-hand side, you can see a layout where we have the office space, the warehouse space. Currently, we have our Gen 2 battery system assembly and test equipment in place. And by the end of this year, we will have our Gen 3 assembly and testing equipment in-house. Next slide. And this final picture is the Hazel Park team that developed the first battery system. So we had a small core team that included both our office workers as well as assembly line workers. Next slide. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
That is fantastic. Thank you, Roy. I really appreciate that overview. Let's start transitioning into the panel discussion. And with that, I would like to ask my panelists to turn on their cameras as well as their audio. And I would like to introduce first Aurora Battaglia, SVP of European Corporates from Comerica Bank. Aurora is a partner, and we've worked for many years in the international space in Europe, and really glad she's able to be with us here today. We also have Teresa Gordon, partner and shareholder of Clayton McCurvey, one of the premier firms in the Metro Detroit area supporting foreign direct investment. We also have Ray DeWinkle, Director of Business Customer Strategy at Consumers Energy, one of our premier utility providers here in the state. Really great that Ray is able to make time to be with us here today. We also have Nick Stasevich, Vice President of Butzel & Long and Honorary Consul General of the UK to Michigan. Nick runs an impressive firm that deals with corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, visas, and all things related to international investments. Really glad that Nick can join us here as well. We also have Jacqueline Young, Economic Development Manager for DT Energy, another premier utility provider here in the state, and really supportive of all of our initiatives here at the MEDC. With that, Roy, I'm really impressed with what Akasol was able to do given the times, the pandemic, and your growth has been quite remarkable. We've received a couple of questions here that I will go ahead and ask. If there's other questions from the audience, please put them in the chat and our team will funnel them to me, or we will follow up right after the event with the appropriate answers. Roy, one question here for you. What advice would you give to new investors looking into the US and looking into the Michigan market. And can you talk a little bit about the importance of chambers of commerce and all of the local organizations that have supported you guys here?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's critically important, especially for foreign companies coming into this area, that they develop partnerships, especially with service providers. So whether that be accounting firms, law firms, real estate, banks, utilities, etc. Those are some of the key relationships that have to be developed in order to successfully ramp up production. So you have to look at other factors, determining whether or not it's a manufacturing facility, is it going to be a development facility. Some of those things will help you decide where to locate as well.
No, that's terrific. I mean, you guys are now in a growing phase. What challenges have you encountered maybe that you didn't see through your extensive site selection process that you're currently dealing with?
Yeah, AKASOL was not necessarily a well-known name in the U.S. market or in Michigan specifically. So we did have some issues attracting our blue-collar workers or our assembly line workers. We then quickly established relationships with some of the staffing agencies. And, we had to deal with the situation that many other employers dealt with the COVID crisis. So there was a period of time where employees were not that motivated to look for a job. But, I'm happy to say that we've, filled out our production staff and we're able to support, our requirements.
That's terrific. And I guess the next question is simply for me. So you can be as honest or as brutal as you'd like. What was your experience in dealing with the MEDC in terms of the entire site selection process to, of course, the incentive piece, to be able to connect you to the ecosystem? What has that been like from your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I can say it's been a success story. We had a single point of contact at the MEDC, VLATKO, and along with his counterpart at the Detroit Regional Partnership, they accompanied all of our site visits. They set up the necessary meetings with those service providers that I had mentioned. And, we're very appreciative of the cash grant that the MEDC provided AKASOL. So we had forecasted over 5 years that over 200 jobs would be created, and then MEDC would contribute over $2 million in cash grant incentives.
No, that's great. I think what I'm hearing here is a lot about these importance, what networks and relationships in the community, which is great to hear. Let me pull in our other panelists into the conversation here. I have a question for Aurora. I know you sit on a number of boards here in Michigan. Can you tell us a little bit about the European corporate community in Michigan and why it's so important to be a member and also to sit on those boards, to advocate for business?
Yes, sure. Well, good morning, everyone. And yes, thank you, VLATKO. It is certainly a thriving community, the European corporate in Michigan. I think it was mentioned over 1,400 foreign-owned firms in Michigan with over 5,000 locations. And I've been working with many of the foreign corporates in the state for a number of years. And it has been impressive to see that no matter what is happening in terms of the global economic environment, we have continued to see a steady flow of investment coming into the state and from a variety of locations. But talking about Europe in particular, there certainly is a pretty high concentration when you look at German, British, French, Italian, and Spanish companies that are located. But this presence on the European corporate side is very diverse, VLATKO. It's, as you well know, it encompasses companies that are privately held, to companies that are public, companies that are coming in, setting up a sales office, service, R&D or engineering center, to companies like AKASOL that are coming in and also establishing manufacturing facilities. And in terms of sectors, despite the fact that there is certain a lead in automotive, mobility, advanced manufacturing, medical devices, there is a variety that goes beyond that. We're also seeing companies from general industrial, from food sector, from packaging. So again, overall, what I've seen is a very strong network, let's say, of European corporates in the state. And those are also supported by organizations, which I think is what you were referring to, like the French American Chamber, the British American Business Council, the German American Business Council, the Italian American Business Council, the Swedish Chamber as well. So overall, very, very dynamic.
No, that's great, Aurora. And then in terms of Comerica's core offering, I mean, you guys are one of the premier banks in our market with an aggressive international strategy. Can you just give us a brief overview of how active you are in Europe and your services that you can extend to corporates in this environment?
Yes. Well, I probably would like to point out a couple facts. First one is 1849, and that means that it's over 170 years that Comerica is active in the banking environment. But that 1849 goes back to Michigan, to Detroit, where the bank was originally founded. The second point is that we are one of the financial institutions that has a dedicated international division and team. And when I say dedicated, working exclusively with foreign-owned companies that are doing business in North America. And the third point is when I just look at my side of the business, we're talking about $1 billion in assets relating to European companies that have invested in the United States. So whether it's working again with the MEDC, with some of the other partners here in Michigan, with organizations at the federal level like SelectUSA and others, it certainly demonstrates a commitment that we have in assisting foreign-owned companies that are coming into the U.S. And if I may say, VLATKO, I mean, that really extends to both providing operating arrangements to allow companies to get paid and make payments and just manage their cash on a daily basis, to arrangements that of course include funding, capital planning, and long-term collaboration and partnership.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for that, Aurora. Let me bring in Teresa Gordon here from Clayton McCurvey as well. I know, Teresa, you and I have worked on a number of projects with European clients. Can you tell us a little bit about your international activity and also your dedicated international desk that Clayton McCurvey has to offer?
Yeah, thank you, VLATKO. I'm really happy to be here to talk about that. Clayton McCurvey's been helping companies expand to Michigan for about 40 years. So we do have a dedicated foreign direct investment practice, which I lead. We really focus on early stage expansion services, but of course we offer a full range of accounting services as well as tax services for foreign-owned companies. And we work with them in both the, in the planning as well as setup and a growth stage. We have within our firm traditional audit and tax services, as well as some specialty practices and concentrations, including industrial automation, research and experimental tax credits, M&A transactions, and even data analytics that we also bring to our FDI clients as they need them, either initially or as they grow. And we also have some Mandarin-speaking professionals and Spanish-speaking professionals that focus more on tax and operational consulting and for domestic as well as international companies. And they also support our core FDI team working with our clients who are coming in and expanding to Michigan.
No, that's great, Teresa. Obviously, that accounting piece is really crucial. And it's also very closely linked with taxation, with the legal, with the banking component of it. Can you tell us in the audience a little bit more about how you work with some of our partners that are here, such as Aurora and others, to make that happen?
Yeah, absolutely. Accounting and tax is so tied, especially to legal and banking, especially in the initial stages, but of course, also throughout a company's operation. Michigan it has this very well-connected network of advisors and providers, experience in foreign direct investment, experience in helping companies expand to Michigan. In particular, on the legal side, we work with Nick and his colleagues at Butts Along very frequently, and there's a tax consideration or action for every legal execution. So for example, when you establish a legal entity, the choice of that legal entity dictates how you will be taxed in the US. When you have an intercompany agreement between your new US subsidiary and the foreign parent, that agreement, that legal agreement, is the basis for transfer pricing and meeting the requirements of the IRS. And also when you have employment agreements, especially for expatriate employees, there's a tax side to both the employer and the employee. And we work with not only the attorney on the agreements to make sure everything's addressed, but also with the payroll providers to make sure everything's set up appropriately for both the company and the employee. With the banking, interestingly, when they're establishing a bank account for the first time, we work with Aurora and her team at Comerica. That's usually the same time that we're helping them set up their first accounting system for the U.S. company. And it's really important to automate the transactional activity. So working closely with the bank to link or sync the bank accounts and credit card accounts directly into the accounting software like QuickBooks is very efficient. And as well as when you've got an approver of bills for the U.S. company that may be located at the parent company, we work with the company as well as the bank to make sure that they have a process to properly set up bills for approval and payment using the bank platform or another platform, depending upon their circumstances. And of course, when the U.S. company has a lending relationship with the bank, we assist in helping meet the financial reporting requirements of that debt.
No, that's great, Teresa. I mean, what I'm hearing you say here is really this importance of being able to work early on and then also collaboratively across all of the different services that people offer. So that's really terrific to hear. You did hint at the legal piece, and maybe I'll bring in Nick Stasevich here next. Nick, obviously the visa process is critically important. The travel restrictions are critically important. And at the same time, it feels like the US is constantly changing requirements. Can you give us a little bit of feedback or guidance on how a company could navigate that process with Butts Along?
Thank you, VLATKO. With COVID, of course, there's been a significant impact on all business travel. First off, to enter the U.S., every traveler is required to have a COVID test, negative COVID test, 72 hours before travel. Also, many of our business partners are traveling from the Schengen countries, from the UK, from China, Brazil, and those are all subject to a travel ban, meaning to come to the U.S., you either need to go to a country in quarantine for 14 days that's not on the travel ban list, or you need to obtain a national interest exemption. And that is obtained by showing that you have business duties here in the US that are critical to furthering the country's national interest in certain key industries, such as healthcare, transportation, manufacturing, food services, and proving that is an additional requirement that was never on the books before COVID, of course. We've helped dozens of clients get those approved, and that requires an application to a U.S. consulate or an embassy. With COVID, a number of embassies and consulates have greatly reduced processing times and staff time. So that also causes a bit of delay. You mentioned the perception that the rules are changing as well for obtaining visas to enter the US for work. The requirements haven't changed, but over the last several years, we've certainly seen the stricter scrutiny of those requirements. Also, the government requiring additional information. For example, to bring engineers or specialists over, you now need to prove and provide additional evidence of their specialized knowledge to qualify for a specialized knowledge visa. But rest assured that all the visa categories that have been traditionally around, investor visas in particular, are still available, and they're still very possible. It just requires a little extra guidance from your advisors in obtaining these.
No, that's great, Nick. Thank you for that a brief overview. I know it's a loaded question, but maybe I'll take this moment also to let our audience know that we will be sharing the contact information of all of our panelists after the fact to encourage engagement and that further conversation. Nick, maybe one more question for you really quickly. From your perspective, how important do you view these networks here in Michigan to be successful?
I think it's critical. When you're establishing a company here, there's so many different issues to cover, 360. The network that the economic developers provide, both the state and the local level, is very important. The organizations that Aurora mentioned, the chambers of commerce, and other organizations that represent companies investing from overseas or other states, gives a chance for obtaining new business, for expanding your client base, for gaining access to employees. And so I think that network is very, very, very critical. We're always been very active in helping companies with their IP, with not only intellectual property, but labor and employment issues, contracts, et cetera. And so many of these touch on not just the legal aspects, but your business partners who are engaging with you to either joint venture or work and partner together, provide services. So I can't emphasize enough the importance of these networks that you mentioned.
That's great, Nick. Thank you. Maybe I'll bring in Jacqueline with DTE here for some conversation on power. And Jacqueline, we just heard Roy talk about the extensive period the site selection process took and all of the different facets that are involved and milestones. Can you talk to us a little bit about your process and how important it is to bring in DTE and other utilities early on into these conversations, and what the services are that you can offer to companies?
Sure. First of all, it's very important to bring in the utilities as early as possible. Definitely the earlier, the better. When you look at the product that we provide, which is electricity and gas, that can affect the project's capital costs as well as their operating costs. So definitely when the company gets to the point where they're comparing sites, they want to have the utility involved. There's a lot of things that can be considered and why you need to have us involved in the site selection process. First of all, if you look at the different sites, is there power available? Is there enough capacity to provide the service of power that you need to have when you need it? And if there isn't, do we have enough time to get it to you? So we're looking at the amount of power, the timing to get it to you, and then looking at the cost. Now, DTE does provide allowances to give upfront credit if we do have to improve our electricity infrastructure in the area. But I know the company wants to know all of those types of things so they can plan for it and budget for it. There are different types of power that we have, secondary versus primary. In some cases, DTE would own the equipment. In the other cases, the company would own the equipment, and there are pros and cons to each. Like in some cases where DTE owns the equipment, it might be one price, but when the company owns the equipment, like in a primary supply situation, the rates may be lower. So looking at the rates and the different types of rates we have for different types of manufacturing facilities. I've also noticed I've done quite a few projects over the years, and the way power is delivered varies from state to state and country to country. So let's talk about that. There may be new equipment that the company may need to consider, or new calculations the company may need to consider if it's their first time in the United States, for instance. I had that with a Chinese company very recently. How reliable do they need the power to be? Do they need a redundant source like data centers often need? And then there are other things that we offer. Like I mentioned, we have a cost sharing program. We give upfront credit. And the thing that's very popular now is a lot of companies want EV charging stations in their parking lots. We provide a rebate for EV charging stations. We have energy efficiency rebates.
On this call.
So for energy efficiency rebates, let's say that we want to put in energy efficient lighting. You need to know that early on in your process. And by knowing that early on in your process, you can incorporate it in your budget and buy the right types of equipment. Does the company want renewable energy to service their facility? Here lately, it seems like a lot of companies want a option that has a low carbon footprint. So in that case, they might want renewable energy. DTE offers a rate with renewable energy rate. So those are some of the things that DTE offers, and there are a lot of decision points that can be made. And in AKASOL's case, they happened to go to a site that had the power already there and ready to go for when they wanted to start building. So in their case, I can see that they definitely use that as one of their levers in the choice of the site that they chose.
That's great. Thank you, Jacqueline, for that overview. I agree with you. I think it's crucial to bring in the utilities early on to begin this evaluation process to evaluate if power is at that site. I think that's also impacting the timetable and, of course, the decision-making process in this entire equation. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you and DTE works with local economic development agencies and also the MEDC in general?
Sure. First of all, it's a very close relationship. We meet with our different partners on a regular basis. At DTE, we're actually assigned by territory. So for instance, I have Wayne County in the city of Detroit. So I meet with my partners on a regular basis. We meet with the MEDC on a regular basis. So we have a partnership that we keep up. I meet with Detroit Regional Aerotropolis, Detroit Regional Partnership, several different local partners. We know each other. We work together a lot. When it comes with these sites and working with a specific company, the MEDC always makes sure that they involve the utility from the very beginning. They let us know as soon as it gets started so that when the company has its questions, they make sure that DTE is involved, consumers is involved, the utility is involved, so that it gets all of its questions answered. And we also make sure we have the one point of contact for that particular proposal. So if they're looking at 20 sites in their territory, they only have one person from the DTE to deal with. I think we have a really good relationship with the MEDC and our other partners in that way. We go to site visits if they need us to. We have specialized calls if need be, but they always make sure that they bring us in nice and early so that anything that needs to be considered from the utility perspective, including what we offer to the incentive package, can be included. So we're very happy with the partnership that we have with our other local economic developers as well as the MEDC.
That's great. Thank you for that, Jacqueline. Let me bring in Ray into the conversation here from Consumers Energy as well. Ray, I know Consumers is quite active in the outreach to clients directly, as well as consultants here in Michigan, in the United States, and globally. Can you maybe give us a brief overview of those initiatives and all the activity that Consumers is involved in with? I think our friend Ray might be muted. We'll give him just a minute here to see if he can respond.
There we go. Sorry. Most people like it when I'm muted. I do want to echo everything that Jacqueline said. We're lockstep with the partnership, with how we support the companies, and so that was very well put. Yeah, with Consumers, I mean, we are reaching out, working to identify companies for whom Michigan makes a lot of sense from a growth perspective, and those can be domestic firms in the U.S. or certainly firms around the globe. And you've seen, the numbers in Drew Coleman's presentation about, the types of companies and where they've come from. And so our footprint, mirrors that. Also, there is a specialty consultant group called Site Selection Consultants, and I maintain relationships with many of those, over 400 of them globally, just so we're on their radar screen and we're in constant communication with them.
No, that's great, Ray. I think it also highlights that importance of being connected, even in a time of COVID when we can't be physically together. But it's great to hear that you remain active with all of those groups. Let me ask you a follow-up question here. For Consumers Energy, I know we work with you extensively. How has that relationship been from your side, and how do you work with the other EDOs that are throughout Michigan as well?
Well, I'd echo what Jacqueline said, is we maintain strong relationships with each of them. We have mutual NDAs so that we handle all projects with confidentiality, which we know is critically important, for companies as they're looking at markets. But yes, we maintain those relationships. And interestingly, the people on this panel, when I saw who I was co-presenting with, we've all known each other. We've traveled together. And we've worked together to support companies' growth in Michigan.
No, that's great, Ray. Maybe one final question, and I apologize to our audience because we have gone over here in our time allotment. But Ray, obviously power is crucial. It's one of the key differentiators for industrialists. Can you tell us a little bit about how Consumers works with corporates in evaluating costs and identifying resources from your side?
Well, again, Jacqueline really teed it up quite nicely, and we like to be brought in early. It just makes a lot of sense. Helps, we can help you understand the power on the site or infrastructure improvements that might need to be made, the timing on those, the costs. And we have the same program from a contribution in aid of construction to offset the cost of that upfront infrastructure, so that doesn't become a capital cost for the company. They've got enough capital costs as they put a new facility in. Our goal, and we're aligned with DTE on that, is that we minimize those costs for you.
That's great. Well, with that, it really concludes our panel. I would like to thank each of you for taking this time to have some dialogue around this crucial piece. Foreign direct investment obviously impacts all of us drastically. I would like to thank Roy for his testimonial and presentation. It's been enlightening to see all of that. I would also like to highlight that all of our participants will get the presentation that was run through by my colleague earlier today, as well as some follow-up questions that we were not able to get to in this call. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody, and if you have a couple minutes, please stick around. We will like to show you a brief video that really highlights some of our key resources here. Thank you again.
A culture of innovation that put the world on wheels and is now driving the next generation of transportation technologies. A legendary workforce that powers a statewide arsenal of innovation. A dynamic entrepreneurial ecosystem that captures the world's imagination and transforms concepts into creations. Vibrant communities and abundant natural resources that draw visitors from around the world, offering an unparalleled quality of life. For growth-minded companies looking for the right business environment for expansion or relocation, Pure Michigan means pure opportunity. A global supply chain located within 500 miles of 50% of the U.S. population, with direct access to Canadian markets via 3 international border crossings. Access to the highest concentration of engineering talent in the U.S. and a skilled workforce among the top in the nation for advanced manufacturing. A statewide support network for startups, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, with a technology sector among the fastest growing in the country for annual tech job growth. The global epicenter of mobility innovation, ranking #1 nationally in automotive and mobility research and development. An international destination for foreign direct investment from across the globe. historic downtowns, and dynamic cities where people want to live, combining a cost of living among the lowest in the country with a quality of life among the highest. When it's time to plan for what's next for your business, discover Michigan and discover pure opportunity.